The Reformation, Chapter 16. Your objectives. Explain how Christian Reformation affected politics of Germany and England. Identify and analyze how the Reformation changed and influenced Christianity. Summarize the relationships between the Holy Roman Empire and the German states following the Peace of Augsburg. And analyze the effects of the Reformation and how it influenced Christian culture, including persecution of opposing viewpoints. Your timeline. The Protestant Reformation, Section 1. Christian Humanism. The Italian Renaissance starts humanistic movement. The movement spreads in Northern Europe. Christian humanism is a movement in Northern Europe combining classical learning and individualism with reforming the Catholic Church. The abilities for human to reason and improve themselves. The need to read the classics and the basic fundamental teachings of the Bible. Erasmus. Diodorus Erasmus. Christianity should show people how to live good lives daily, not just give beliefs to help them be saved. The church needs to return to earlier Christianity of internal belief. External actions like pilgrimage, fasts, and relics are not important. He wrote a book called The Praise of Folly in 1509. Erasmus humorously criticized society's morals and religious state. It is said Erasmus laid the golden egg that Luther hatched. Public reform. Ordinary people push for reform. Songs, images. Church leaders unconcerned with the concerns of the people, more concerned about politics, careers, personal wealth, and many priests appeared incompetent in their duties. Indulgent. With little guidance from clergy, many people sought other ways of assuring their salvation. Salvation was acceptance into heaven. Followers' veneration for paying homages to relics. Church sells indulgences. An indulgence is a document sold by the church, signed by the Pope or another high official that releases the bearer from part or all punishments for sin. Buy your way into heaven, basically, is what an indulgence is. The leaders collected relics to assure salvation. Modern devotion, belief, and practice actions of Jesus versus the demonstration of church practices. Martin Luther, a German Catholic monk, professor at the University of Wittenberg, lectured on the Bible, searching spirituality for certainty of salvation. Catholic doctrine, faith and good works were needed for personal salvation. Luther, humans were powerless and could never do enough to earn salvation. People are saved only by their faith in God. He called this justification by faith. The Bible, not the clergy, was the only valid source of religious truth. He wrote a 95 Thesis. Luther was extremely upset by the practices of indulgences. John Tetzel, a German monk authorized by the church to sell indulgences to raise money for St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. Luther indulgences only soothed the conscience, did not forgive sins. On October 31st, 1517, Luther posted his complaints, known as the 95 Theses, on the door of the Catholic Church in Wittenberg. The printing press allowed copies of these theses to be spread throughout Germany. Here's a picture of Luther posting it on the door, and here's a picture of the printed 95 Theses, or 95 complaints against the Catholic Church. The break. Changes to the church sacraments. Kept baptism, communion, allowed the clergy to marry. Faith alone led to salvation. In 1520, Luther calls for the German princes to overthrow papal control in Germany. He established a reformed German church. In 1521, Luther was excommunicated by the church. The Holy Roman Emperor Charles V summoned Luther to try to get him to recant his beliefs. Luther refused. The Edict of Worms declared Luther an outlaw. His writings were burned. Luther must be arrested. Frederick III of Saxony hides Luther until 1522. Luther returns to Wittenberg. Lutheranism. The next few years, German reform ideas spread. German princes take control over Catholic churches and turn to German-controlled churches. Luther creates a new religious service to replace the Catholic Mass, which contained Bible reading, preaching, and songs. Luther marries a former nun and sets the example for new ministers. Lutheranism is the new Protestant sect. German Peasant Wars. In 1524, German peasants revolted against regional princes. They wanted Luther's support, but Luther supported the princes, rulers called by God to maintain peace and spread the gospel of Christianity. It's the duty of the princes to stop the revolt. In the spring of 1525, the revolt was crushed. Luther was now more dependent on the state than ever. Politics and the Reform in Germany. Charles V of the Holy Roman Empire rules large empire: Spain, the Spanish colonies, Austria territory, Bohemia, which is modern-day Czech Republic, Hungary, the Lowlands, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Milan, and Naples. Religious leaders see the reform as a challenge to the church power. Charles V sees the reform as a threat to political and social order. Other challenges to the Holy Roman Empire. Francis I quarrels over territory between regions in the west, the threats of the Ottoman Turk in the east, internal politics. Germans made up several hundred states technically supported the emperor, but many also supported Luther's reform. Sent military to Germany to stop the reform push, unable to defeat the German armies, seeks peaceful solution. This is called the Peace of Augsburg in 1555 AD, which accepts a division of Christianity in Germany. State religion is chosen by the regional prince, either Catholic or Lutheran, no other. Here's a map. That's the end of lesson 1.